Hello.
I don't know any word handles. Who are you?
I'm just JJ from Bliss. Just
What's up, JJ? How's it going? I don't think we've met, have we? I don't remember a JJ.
Minneapolis. Uh, Longer hair, Asian.
Not ringing bells. I haven't been to Minneapolis at all. Do you remember meeting me?
Where are you again? Have we met?
How long you been playing?
Better part of the year now.
Okay, that makes sense then. So like super, just like of this year of 2020.
No. I started like maybe mid 2019
I see, like the better part of a year, like almost a year.
of a year. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I thought you were like the better part of this year. It's like what, like 2 months, dude?
It's just like a whole month of like.
Got really into it. COVID happened, and oh darn, I was really starting to like that game.
Start learning how to play KQ Black instead, and then translate all of that into
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, KQB is so very different. I'm not very good
Yes,
at Black.
it's kind of hard to establish roles in Black. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's like the way people talk about like true flex. I don't know if you like heard people talk about like the nature of like flexing in Killer Queen Arcade.
No.
So basically, like you know how like everyone assigns roles in
Right.
arcade of like oh you're the snail guard, you're the ledge guard, all that
Yep.
type of stuff.
Right.
Uh,
Objective, ledge
yeah,
guard,
yeah. So
offensive.
flexing is like flexing between the roles, like rotating between the roles. And so
Right.
there's been a long-standing like argument, maybe perhaps assumption is a good word, that true flex, where all four drone/warriors on the team are constantly switching between doing everything in order to maximize the efficiency, right? Like, well, I'm close to this berry hole. It doesn't matter that I'm not an objective runner. I'm close to this berry hole.
Right.
So I'm going to run the berry. Or I just died and we need a warrior up, so our objective runner should work. That type of stuff.
Right.
That's kind of been like a conversation in arcade for a long time, and it's never really been proven as being like really, really good.
It's something hard to practice because it's a constant ebb and flow. So everybody has to be on queen level, you know.
Yeah. And it's also like, well, you have to have relatively equal skill in all those roles. Like if it's like I remember the last time this conversation happened is I was playing with Dan Barron. He's like one of the best speed warriors in the game. I'm not gonna throw Dan on Snail very often. You know, like usually there's considerable drop off between Dan and whoever our fourth like warrior/first objective player is as far as like skill.
It's almost like you have to set if you were to do something like that, set a priority list for people based on their skill levels on certain areas.
Yeah.
But even then it's just like yeah.
Yeah, but I think in Black that's kind of the default is that you have to do that.
Right.
Like you have to be able to swing. You have, like if you die, you should be prepared to start running berries. You should be prepared to start running the hill. You should always be ready to flex up warrior.
I've never really like gotten into the whole competitive side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as like, you know, monthly tournaments, that's pretty much as far as I got.
Yeah.
How big are plays as far as like nationals go? Like playbooks, you know, and stuff like that.
Oh, I've been very open about the fact that my team, Howdy, that we won nationals, Bubble Bash 4, had a 5-page strategy document.
Okay.
It was a Word document on it was a Google like sheet that was 5 pages long, and that was like covering all of our openers, and not just like where people go at opener, but like flowcharts based off of like what they do at opener. We had programs for like Lockout, or is that a term you're familiar with?
No.
Lockout is whenever its true definition is whenever the enemy team has no warriors and you are running control. Yeah.
As long as you have air superiority, as long as you can lock out gates and as well as
but it's oftentimes used like colloquially. Even like if they have one warrior, you can still run some lockout protocols since their one warrior is helping them recover and it's over by that gate anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the core of it is like they can't get warriors up.
Right.
But so we had like extensive lockout protocols and
Essentially.
plans.
Like possibly like a single speed queen or something like that. I don't know.
Basically, the crux of lockout, and we actually did the stream right now, or are you just in the Discord chat?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about this, I'll go ahead. I guess I'll just use this opportunity to constantly plug my own video. But we did a lockout video that's like a really, really good breakdown of lockout programs on each map. And the crux of all of them is that you want your queen in front of the enemy queen, your speed warrior behind their queen, and a vanilla poised to be able to swoop below and kill the drones that are headed to the queen. And that's like the gist of how you like to get like the gist of how you like to get like the gist of how you like to get like of how you like to get like blinking.
No, your screen's blinking.
Oh, that's interesting. It's probably so. I'm on a Mac. I wonder if it's whenever I switch between windows because I'm streaming like a specific like my window from that's on my desktop.
Yeah, your
so
Chrome.
I bet when I do like the 4-finger swipe between like maximize things, I bet that's what's doing that. So I will go ahead and just bring like 4 things down into the desktop as well, so that happens. All right, I'm just linking that in the. Check it out. But that's did that make sense? The idea of a queen in front and a speed warrior behind. Yeah. So it's like day map that always breaks down the like always the enemy queen that's in recovery always ends up by like a side gate, left or right gate. Your queen holds the inside of the map, preventing her from breaking in, and your speed warrior goes around and gets her back to threaten her.
Have to posit your queen somewhere with easy access to gates, and then your warriors, and that's like entirely map dependent.
And this was something this exact topic I want to talk about came up in Slack today. Where, somebody asked, Cody did a review. Cody, one of the best review of Jess, a really good queen from San Francisco. In there, somebody asked the question of why there was. Let me see if I can try to find it. But there was a picture of a warrior and a queen both holding the inside of left gate on day map. Asked. Cody said that which is to go and get the queens back on the other side. And someone asked why. And I'll try to find this. Oh, I found it. I'm gonna try to put it up on the stream if I can find. I just have to scroll through. Yeah, so this conversation going on. This image. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So basically, the stripes. Cody was saying that gold stripes should go around over the top to the left side. That then Gold Queen could hold the inside, help run lockout on left gate. And the question was asked, why Amar from Charlotte asked, why is Felix being told to go all the way around when the queen could also be the one pinning from the other side? So he's asking, well, why doesn't Gold Queen go around? Like, why should the warrior go around and not the queen? And Cody makes a really good point about like how I think it's better for a queen to hold the center of the map versus give up the center because the gates are all super close to each other. So a lot of pickups on day map, and this I want to get to this whenever we do the opposite of the lockout video, which is the recovery video. A lot of what happens in order to recover well on day map is you break to center, you get a tag on mid, and you move over to the other side gate. So if you're at left gate, you tag mid, you go to right. And in that process, you might get somebody up at mid, maybe, if it works out. There's some tricks there. They spend so much time that you're able to get a pickup there. Warriors like repositioned to the wrap and everything like that. But one thing that I've really noticed is that you have like diminished returns on the queen holding the middle of the map if they can't reliably hit J dives onto the side gate. When we're talking about like high tier play and high tier strats, right? You know, we're talking about like, players like Cody. Of course, he's gonna hold the inside and because he can hit that J at a moment's notice. Whenever the queen dives to kill a warrior that's swooping underneath them at the gate, Cody can hit the J and push her out.
My first because like I'm not that great and I try to learn strategy to, you know, make up for that crux, is I'd rather have the queen go in from the left side, simply because, you know, you get that bump. I don't like through and defend that entire area, and you can't do that J dive very easily.
Exactly. And
Blue's gonna want to stay on that right side.
And the gold queen goes over. That interesting. The gold queen goes over. Queen has to move to left to meet her. You can't let the queen on the ceiling. Right. That puts her in a really risky position, because then that gate has been rendered useless. Right? She doesn't get any warriors up, and she's all the way over the left. She can't defend the gate. No, the drones aren't going to beat the warriors over there. So it's definitely there's a place for going around. I think most of the time it has to do with like live propensity than anything else, because I think playing from the middle is the stronger play. But if you can't do that, right? If you can't hit those J dives very reliably, and you don't have to be as good as like 3 queens or whatever in the country, but just like hitting them very reliably. Also, like it's relative, right? Because if you're playing against a queen that can't hit her stick as reliably, then your J dive doesn't have to. If she's diving and tagging that gate and can't hit the 3-tap stick to get back, it has to forfeit a ton more horizontal space, and you barely have to hit the J dive. This is off to a good start.
Let's just get started, or I don't know what.
Basically,
I just kind of popped in here because I saw people in here. I was just like, I could learn something today.
It's funny. Yeah, we're streaming. We started streaming around like 7:30ish, but that was like this is the first time we've ever used our Twitch or anything or Discord. Usually, flight school content is just prepared videos uploaded to YouTube.
Is this just the renamed KQ Discord?
Oh yeah, the Killer Quarantine. Yeah. We just made our own.
Okay.
I was never in the KQ Discord, so is that what this is? This is like
I have no idea.
I have no clue either.
I just got into the Facebook like freaking couple months ago, and
nice. Welcome, Blake.
Well, see you, Blake.
That's so fun. I loved that.
Oh man. How's the week been so far?
It's been good. Things have been nice. I'm starting a new job in a week, so I just had a conference call with them today. Yeah, how about you?
Work's been cut in half essentially, so I'm kind of like filling in everything with freaking course errors and video games.
Yeah, I honestly cannot believe that I got a new job.
Yeah, that is pretty surprising considering how much I don't want to say volatility, but you know, it's up
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got laid off ago.
Okay.
And then they got a new job last. So I got so lucky because I got laid off 2 weeks ago as of April 1st. They were like, as of April 1st, we will no longer have like enough. It was a COVID layoff. It was like because I work in politics, and like a number of our clients were just like, okay, so we are no longer in call time. and we can't do all these other things, and we're not going to be having events. We won't be scheduling those. We'd like to
Yeah.
reconsider our contracts and not stay.
Yeah, I
Which is
was
totally
working
fair.
I was also working part-time with a bunch of like event because I do like media and do like video production
Cool, very
for
cool.
events. That's the side on the side, but pretty much that half of work got completely cut off. Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm hoping whatever bills they pass for the what was it, like 600 a week, was that for people?
I think it was nation.
Yeah, nationwide.
Nationwide, there's been a ton of numbers, but the Democrats have proposed 2,000 a month. I think it's like close enough to 600 a week. It's 600 a week, so maybe that's where that's coming from.
Yo.
Lovely, welcome. This is JJ from Minneapolis.
Man.
Was the guy I was mentioning earlier. Usually play together. Speed Warrior. He's a Speed Warrior for me. Howdy. And I think the Republicans have just offered a $1,000. Just everyone gets $1,000. Yeah, one time. Everyone gets $1,000, and then you're done.
That's crazy that Andrew Yang's freaking universal income has actually been put on the table now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Insane. Ways.
JJ, you got any other questions about the game?
Let's see here. I want to put up a question list. Currently, I'll think of something.
Yeah, no worries. In here now. I don't know who the awful Den is. And there. I had a couple of question submissions. We put out a form. Let me see if I can. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just Ryan. One person, the unsung hero, submitted a question about KQ flight at school after dark with Kyle. How long do people wait? And my answer is at least another day. JJ, you're like, I don't know who the heck that is. That's not. I'm not laughing.
He doesn't need to be named. He's the unsung hero.
But the guy you're talking about, Kyle G.
Kyle G. I have no idea who that is.
That guy is he's a player from Milwaukee who occasionally, like 2 or 3 times now, has gone live on Facebook to rants have just been like he's like hilarious, belligerent, just like don't die, man, just don't die, stuff like that. it's really,
typical
really
freaking John Maddening things, you know. It's like you got
yeah.
berries.
That's really
and you win the
really,
game.
And then a couple serious questions from Brian. I'm wondering if he's gonna tune in. I'm gonna DM him and see, because if he's gonna tune in, I'd want to those questions with him. But
I think he's actually the Awful Din.
he's what?
I believe he's the Awful Din. We were on a stream the other night. I think that was him. Because it looks like the right avatar.
Oh, okay.
Grabbing snacks. The 3v1 Snail fight.
Did that make sense? Oh yeah, the awful Dan just messaged the general chat for Killer Queen Quarantine. But that's him. That's Ryan. He said his connection's super flaky. I wanted us to work on it. I didn't personally prepare the thing I wanted to talk about. It's supposed to be more informal. I can chat about whatever they want. But I'm sure I noted earlier if you just asked me any question, I rant for 10 minutes. JJ, what do you usually play?
Let's see here. I tend to have to jump onto speed, but mostly objective running, I guess. I don't know.
Nice.
I find speed warrioring a bit easier to learn
Yeah, I think that
right
makes
now.
sense. People always go one of two ways with that. Either it just makes
Yeah,
everything I'm doing easier, or it's God, it's so control
right,
when you're first getting the
right.
grips of things.
It's not that I can kill things easier. That's not what I find. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is easier. It's control of the unit is a little easier to deal with.
Yeah. Well, it's if you
Like
you don't have to move away as quick.
I find sticking a little easier to work with when I'm on speed.
That makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that.
Quite fewer taps needed, which means I don't have to worry about over tapping,
Yeah, that
bouncing,
makes sense.
etc.
That makes a lot of sense.
But I'd say I'm very comfortable doing objective, just pure harassment.
Nice.
I enjoy getting under warriors and queens skin just as an objective runner, and I feel like that adds a little bit of flavor into the game if you're just constantly booping them. I mean, you gotta work the objective, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm following. I get you. Yeah, I mean, I think all the time there are so many ways that you can tilt an opponent and make them frustrated, make them irritated to be playing against you. That
I mean,
I think
it's the fact that like if you're a drone and you are outplaying somebody, it gives somebody else in your team a chance to like sneak up behind them
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
out and just take them out. So I feel like that adds quite a bit of it relieves the rest of your team, I guess. But there's a certain point where you're just like wasting time.
Yeah, I agree with that. That makes sense. Yeah, it's always funny because there's like I've thought a lot about like drone and what they do. Like you're running 3-1 Snail and like how much pressure your objective runner should be putting on, or how much they should be involved in like control operations by bumping enemies or bumping enemies out, bumping enemy warriors to death or away from important things, or bumping enemy drones into like out of gates, keep the
Right.
control going on, that type of stuff. And I think for a long time, I always really wanted drones to just like ride the snail, just like ride it effectively. You know, I never like I always thought it was useful to like hop off and swap to like guard clear and stuff like that. But I always wanted them like near the snail space, just like even if we're slow eking it. I think that's a productive thing. Especially after like a lot of nationals, I really feel like a lot of the very, very, very closely met matches where like military is very equal and it's a lot about making sure that your formation's up, that leveraging a drone in different ways is a lot better. I was really impressed actually with it wasn't even something that we had like really game planned, but Nick Davis was our drone for BB4, and in review he was doing some things that I was like, oh wow, we never talked about that, but that's really good and probably not what I would have wanted had we had a conversation about it.
Right.
So
And I was gonna say when we were the other night they were doing the review of the BB4 finals, watching the Queen play. But there's a number of times where Nick actually pivoted up his warrior, flexed up his warrior, even though he's supposed to be the primary objective. And then Dre ran Snail, and it worked great. Nick was on fire at some of those points.
Clear.
Absolutely. Actually, I remember first game of grand finals is really funny because they all get wiped and then I die. And that all happens while Nick is grabbing speed. Like he's like, we don't have control of the snail space. I think we're gonna get control of it. I'll go get speed. Then he like ran off to go do that, which is and like the first warrior we recovered back up was Speed Warrior Nick, and he didn't die for the rest of that game.
Wow.
That was actually something that we had talked about. Or always think of your first objective as
As far as recovery goes, when you do a wipe, or if
but
there's a possibility of a wipe.
Even beyond that, just like when Nick get up as a whole concept of because it's not just if we're wiped. We were having him get up sooner.
Sure, it's obvious on your side, Woody. I think you're having some connectivity issues. It keeps killing the stream, and then assume you're having some audio issues where it's cutting out. But maybe that's my side. I don't know.
What's going on? Stream's dying.
You are kind of popping in and out. Voice is also kind of like doing the
Overloading internet in Chicago.
Is that like through the Discord or
Discord?
Like it's still doing it. Like you guys can't hear me well.
Yeah, you're fine. But every once in a while, it'll like partially cut out mid sentence or something. We'll lose a word here and there.
Mic closer to my head or something. It's just that maybe I should just talk louder. It's just not registering sometimes. But yeah, that was something that we talked about. Was like, should our runner warrior up under what conditions? And we really settled on that it was mostly Nick and Dre were swinging. That if Dre went down, it was okay for Nick to get up, and vice versa. But I think he only really got up grand finals when we were white. It took a white for him to get up. But I think at other points of the tournament, he had gotten up sooner. I remember there were some like crazy good bumps he was getting, especially on like Night Map Open.
Yeah.
Writing the Snail, but then seeing that someone was going to get up and stop him from writing it, so why not hop down and bump that guy out of that gate? That learned a lot from that, and I've been running like different openers lately. I've been running this like really overloaded center mid opener lately, which is like it's not super safe, but it's like send 3 drones on Night Map through near gate. They hop through near gate to that mid berry pile on Night Map that's directly below middle gate. And that way you can get somebody on the Snail right away, somebody getting up near gate, and you send another drone over to far gate. And I've been playing with that. And I was having Nick be the warrior getting up far. And if the other team, and this actually kind of ties into what Ryan was asking a little bit in the prompts, the second prompt about like, does things change with 3-1 versus 3-1? The answer is like absolutely yes. Because like if they were running berries, we needed. I think the stream is down right now, but we ran this at 33. Whenever COVID ends and get the laptop again, we'll upload. We were having him jump over mid berry pile to far gate, and whenever he was, if they were running berries, he was going to warrior up. But if they weren't running berries, if they were trying to get somebody up out of far, he would bump them. But if they weren't, he was actually jumping up to the far side of the snail path to like go disrupt middle that. And that worked out really, really well against, it was in losers finals. It worked out really, really well against Heartbreak. Nick hopped up and he bumped out their mid-gate vanilla, stopped them from getting up, and they didn't get up a warrior and opener at all.
Yes.
And then so that was actually like, that was the conversations like Nick had these great bumps at nationals, and I was like, Snail's still not moving. That was why for 33 we revised it and made the like third warrior the second warrior like a like offensive drone at opener if he wanted it. If it's a 3-1 versus 3-1 Snail slog, it's control versus their control. For the most part, it tends to be pretty hard to Snail your equal pressure. Usually, like they can't afford to engage, so your Snail gets and threaten them in more places. So your Snail. Interesting because it's like very, very, very different approach than against a berry team. If you're a 3-1 Snail team versus a 2 berry team, afford to not be really aggressive with your Snail push. You have to run like, tempo plays and make sure that you're moving the Snail, getting it out of like difficult to move zones, especially, or else like your defense isn't going to keep up. Because I think they're like some on different maps. I think the day tunnel map when it's not off the Snail rope, dusk when still middle of the map is the hardest. Like before it enters the tunnel, I think all of those zones are like the hardest sections of those maps. Snail from coincidentally are all the beginning of the game. And at any rate, I'll just finish this thought, which is just that because those are so difficult to move the Snail off of, it means that if you're going against a berry team, you got to make sure to move it past those points in order to keep it moving reliably throughout the game, especially because if you're playing against berries, you need, especially Night Map. Night Map's the perfect example of this. If you're playing against berries, you have to have your starting ledge a lot. So Queen isn't as dispensable in the Snail push. Your Snail is moving. She's critical in that space, especially on Night. At the beginning. expanded thought of like, realized that I would say that all the hardest spots are at the beginning of the game, and I was like, oh, I wonder, are they the hardest spots because of the nature of the map and the nature? Are they actually the hardest spots, or if you beginning of the map and moved it to the outside, we then feel like inside is really difficult. There's not much that's like intrinsically different about a lot of things. Like Dusk beginning isn't really different at all. The speed gate, it's more congested. There's more flyover for sure, but like the terrain is basically the exact same. So is it harder, or do we just feel it's harder because we devote less resources, or your team like tends to not have control yet? I don't know. Just thought.
You could, in theory, test that by just bringing the snail back to mid and have both teams fully formed and think about what it means then, right? Like, if the person's bringing it back to mid and both teams have 3 warriors, then that's basically the default state over again.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it is hard because like that's why I run the really aggressive early push on night map, because that section there, like getting it past that little section is really, 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 really annoying. And so I'm like if it's everyone's fully formed, it's really annoying. So I'm like, oh, I'll just do it at opener, and I'll just make sure that Snail is off the rope at opener, and then we can act from a position of strength anyways, or make them devote a ton of resources to pullback.
And so I haven't sat and analyzed what makes it annoying. Is it just because so much of the play happens in the middle on night, especially like Queen's wrapping through?
It definitely is that. That like it's so congested, but it's also because of the multiple entry points. So like if Snail is underneath middle gate, just to move it from off of like from to move it from like underneath middle gate to still on the rope but past the middle gate ledge, that takes like bottom control. Like you have to have somebody posted up underneath middle gate or like zoning people low. But then if people can crash in from above you, well then they can force you out and then hit the J's there. So you can't control from both sides as a singular character at all. You're always like getting attacked from above or getting attacked from below. So those multiple injury points make it really frustrating. You set yourself up for death really easily. And that's why like this whole idea that like the so central to snail push on night map, I don't think that's like it's true, but it's only true because of the opposite, that the queen can deny the night map. Because in order to move snail, like if it was just a war, in order to move snail, you need a warrior posted up underneath middle, and you need a warrior posted up at middle, pushed out to the near side of it. Which like then all the enemy team has to do is like pincer like what the that, but like what the enemy do is pincer that above character that's at middle gate and force them out so that they can crash down on that one below. But like if a warrior's posted up there, a queen can just do it. Like a queen just beats a warrior one-on-one. They hit and then they can hit another J dive and force something out from below. So like one queen busts that whole program, which is why anytime the queen is essential to that snail push, it tends to be because the enemy queen is trying to deny the snail. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It definitely does. Now you have me thinking about, could you like set up a fortress over mid just to cover the bridge? I'm not sure exactly what it would look like or if there's an optimal placement, but I'm starting to think you could.
Yeah. I think it's definitely doable, and I think you see it like happen, or still like it's hard. It doesn't change that people can like play from below, and then at the end of the day, there's always just that the he needs to focus on to some extent. Which actually, you know what? While we're here, I'm just gonna the question that Ryan had, which was please the third one down here. Please talk about the sequence. Generally, thoughts about pushing Knight Snail and what you want your doing. We just kind of organically came around to it. Specifically why you chose to dive out here instead of holding the front side Snail column, and how you balance priorities. Did he say anything else? Curious about gold abs, holding the backside instead of, say, reposition. Yeah. So what he's talking about, and I'm going to slow this down to 0.75, good enough for us. But so I'm gold team. This is groups at Bumbleback 4 versus arguably, which is Joe's team from South Florida. So reason one is in a little bit, I'm going to dive to right gate, and he's asking, like, why do I do that? And what you can see is right here, I start diving for right gate, which is because that's the same moment that Joe is rising up to gate. It was the moment I saw him rising up to left gate, I dove down to right gate. And so that's that point I was making about, well, all of that game planning goes out the window whenever control becomes a question. And this is a way that queens can reliably force enemy queens out of advantageous positions, which is just tag every single gate. The action of him going and tagging left would mean that he would have had, if I stay where I am, he'd have 2/3 of the gates, which I really don't want because they're a warrior down. I want to keep them that way. And I want to slowly work towards lock is my plan. But I dive down and Joe gets left gate. And then I'm going to dive down to right gate and we're going to test for middle. So we're going to meet middle. Hopefully my goal is to keep middle. His goal is to take it. If he moves faster than me, he gets middle and left, and he's reversed the situation. If I'm faster than him, then I keep my advantage with 2 gates to 1. And so that's where, like, those best practices, those best plays, like, go away. Also, I think I die really cool here, so I'm just going to play it out. Oh, yeah, that was nice. Skulls had just, like, a hard read on my dive. Yeah. But that's kind of just, like, a point about, like, controlling those spaces. But one thing that he touches on, which I think is the right thing, is also I'm curious about gold apps holding the backside instead of, say, repositioning to add pressure above / in front of the snail for the right side of waterfall wrap. So what he's pointing to is earlier here. So the moment Joe, blue queen, flies over top is not just the moment where I need to play control. It's also the moment where I am no longer necessary or better suited than a warrior for keeping control of the snail space. So if, say, Abs had come over and taken my spot, or if Skulls had come up and taken my spot, then either one would have been reliably able to stop blue from coming in and stopping this. And I think Brian is just right. That would have been a good call. And I think that's what I was looking for, but I wasn't going to sacrifice gate control. I'm like, the thing that I'll lose because two didn't coordinate correctly is the snail push, not the gate control. So I have to make a call here because one of my players isn't doing that. So I have to make the call. Do I stay here or do I go tag gates? And I made the call to go tag gates. I think that answers this question. How you balance priorities. I think I tend to be very control-oriented. The opening of Night Map, I think, is the big exception to that. But I tend to be very focused on just like having control of the space, having more. I think when Cody and Josh did their analysis of the quarterfinals, they hit it on the head. It actually made me go, oh, that's how I play, which is that you see me like constantly rotating to try to get gates and try to out gate control my opponent. And then once I have that gate control, the aggression gets turned up significantly. And I just start going for things.
Hey, Woody?
Yeah?
Can you check if the Twitch video is updating along with the Discord?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think Brian McMahon
Alrighty.
I saw it just change, but the game state was.
I just hit play. Is it playing? Okay, cool. I might have just had it pause. There's not much. It's a very short period. Maybe I'm just too...
Cool. Yeah, people in the Twitch chat say it's playing for them
Cool.
too. So, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, it was probably just a bad presentation on my... But Dan, while I have you, what did you think about that breakdown? Could you follow along at all without the video? Or should we go back to it?
I was only listening here and there. I was a little distracted.
No worries. Yeah, that's fine. My number one speed warrior. Yeah, Chris or JJ, any thoughts?
No.
Cool.
Concise.
Nice. Makes sense. I usually just strive for making some sort of sense.
Yeah, one question I did have though is regarding that specific play was that you were talking about how night map you always saw that area for starting Snail is a trouble point,
Yeah.
and you'll always put having gate superiority as a priority over getting that Snail out.
Yeah,
That's
almost
kind of
always for
my-
sure.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think 3-1 versus, like, when I'm
Mm-hmm.
mostly focused on control and having the games.
Because otherwise, if you get that Snail out and then you lose, you
Yeah.
basically lose your
Yeah.
shit.
I think you especially see that, like, my closeout protocol, and I think I differ than some very, very good critics at this. Like, I think Cody disagrees with me on this. Like, if I have Snail almost in, like, that's what we're calling closeout protocols, where, like, your team moves into a program in order to get the Snail in the net.
Yep.
I almost always want to close out the game by having all the gates. The way I think it works is that Snail is a locus that makes everyone play around it. Like, they have to send resources to stop our Snail, and they have to put those resources in really weak positions, diving under my stable player.
Right. And if your warriors can take advantage of that and hopefully take him out, or at
Yeah.
least lock him out of areas, then
Yeah.
you can focus more of your attention on keeping the gates away.
Yep. But usually it doesn't even matter if they lose. Like, the point of the gates is that it makes your warrior, it makes your warriors very affordable while it makes their warriors. And so if I can go and get warriors up super easy because I have all the gates and they don't, especially like if you wipe their team, then the enemy queen has to go and stop Snail herself, right? Do pullback herself. So all I have to do is keep a couple warriors over there to keep her occupied down there to make her have to do that. And then I can tag every gate. Now they don't have any warriors. Their queen's down there. And now I'm coming back to stop her. But if I had just gone for the queen, then we have to win that one fight and we have to win in the next 10 seconds. Or else they're getting 3 warriors back up and they're all coming down. And we don't have any gates, which is not the advantageous position I want to be in. I want my Snail push to help facilitate the control and vice versa. Because, like, if Snail is almost in the net on every map, I really don't care if they pull it back like 5 seconds worth of travel. 5 pure seconds of vanilla snail chugging, like that's fine to me.
Yeah.
If they don't get anyone up, like if the queen solos that and it successfully solos it because she gets like a really great double kill, but my last vanilla's there still keeping the snail moving, and I go and tag every gate and they get nobody up, like that's preferable to me.
ABC, always be closing.
It's funny. I do think like if you can win the game, like just do, like if it's like a foregone conclusion, like
right. If it's a single play that'll net you the win,
yeah,
there's no point in prolonging and possibly losing your advantage some other way.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go ahead. I think there's a good example of this from KQ30 of like my approach and my ethos for it, that I'm gonna try to pull up. I actually think it is like it might be the last game of Grand Finals, which is this is the KQ shot recap. I need the Logan. There we go. There's like a micro moment in here. That's the massive pause. Let's move past all that. Let's see if it happens. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, I found it. So this is a perfect example. So they're we got a wipe. We have Snail almost in, and I go and tag every gate, right? So like let's go back to here. I get a kill. We successfully keep control at right gate. Gold Queen realizes she has to go and stop the Snail. I make sure every time, and now with every single gate on the map, I'm pushing their queen out. And so I'm moving in to push her out. And then when I do, this is where like both teams get wiped. He does a great job of killing my last warrior. But this is what's about to happen is a perfect example of how much specifically on where I had so much faith in my team that we are just running pure control, because I should be able to close out this game right now, right? Like look at this strong position. I'm blue queen right above the Snail. All I need is a single drone. I don't have a drone close. The closest one is probably whoever's spawning in the hive.
Or Abs, who's sitting right by the.
Abs is definitely the safest. And so Abs would work. One of those two for sure.
Yeah, assuming he walks over, doesn't get blocked by stripes or something.
Yeah, but
and he has a free run if he goes through the wrap to get there, but it is still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. Is like he's not as close as the spawning, but he's safer to get there. But literally no part of me wants him to Snail. Every part of me wants him to warrior up. I want to get 3 warriors back up. We will win this game by having another 3 warriors. And that is why you can see in a little bit, I rise up. That's a weird rise. Like to rise up and take that position. Look, I let them pull the Snail back. If I had stayed down there, I could have just killed stripes and come back up. It's like, why am I doing that? And it's because I'm going to get a warrior out of middle, and I have drones over there. And so I went up here because that stopped any potential formations out of left gate that they were going to go for. And if he chose to go for middle gate to get formations, I could chase those as well. So this is like a control play. I'm shadowing the queen. I'm making sure to go up because I didn't want to give him any space. I saw a window to rise up, which put us on equal level, which meant that I could follow as aggressively as possible. And then I like just stay here this whole time. I have no desire to go to that Snail, and we get a speed warrior up out of middle who kills it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was looking for. It's like, I'll keep the high. I'll keep them away from all the gates. And I managed to keep the queen over there, and they don't move Snail back much at all. But I think a lot of people, and I don't think they're wrong for thinking it, but I think a lot of people would look at me rising up there as the wrong call. That like, why wouldn't I just kill stripes? and get the Snail in the net. And it's because this team was like 99% control. I don't know if I rise up there in Nationals. Team dynamics, I think, are really critical, and I think I probably just win the game at Nationals. I stay down there.
Oh, what time is it?
Nearly 9.
Nearly 9. Might jump on a game of League and then probably go to bed. But
Nice. That sounds like
thanks,
fun.
thanks for the tips.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Are you
I'll
in
catch you.
the Slack at all?
No, I don't think I am.
No. Do you want to be?
Is it invite?
Yeah.
I'd take an invite. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I'll shoot you a
Should I
message with
DM?
that. I think.
Okay, you can just DM me a link.
Yeah, I think that worked. Yeah, I just made one. Let me just click on you. There you go. I just sent it to you. Yeah, it's like popping though, the Killer Quarantine, until like really recently when somebody linked it in the Animal Crossing channel. But I've the Slack is like I think where most people are year round. I think this is kind of newer since everyone's just talking so much.
Yeah.
Which maybe it'll take over. Who knows? But I haven't really dove in yet since I knew about it 3 days ago.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
actually really enjoying the amount of traffic that online, like everything online right now is just buzzing.
Yeah, it's rad. I don't have to leave
Yeah.
home. It's awesome.
I've been playing like like maybe every 3 days. A couple of friends come together and play a tabletop.
Oh, dude,
Oh,
I'm
man.
just starting to get some of that stuff.
Tabletop is amazing. It's basically every single freaking game out there. Every board game seems to be on there. Fun. Well, I'll catch you later.
Yeah, dude, it was cool meeting you, JJ. Take care, buddy.
All right, peace.
Yep. All right, everybody. JJ's gone. I don't know what the heck He kept this whole thing going. Smoke Fuchsius, that's JJ. What's up, Brian? Okay. Brian McMahon joins.
This seems to keep happening to you. You say hi to them, and they just run.
Yeah, I feel like. Oh, now he's back. I feel like it's just that maybe it's a lot of people bopping out of different channels on the quarantine thing. Brian, are you going to stick around this time, or are you mad at Oh my God.
The timing is too. I think he actually tried to join us when we did a Discord stream the other night, and he was having he was saying it was lagging. So I wonder if there's just something going on there in general.
It's really funny, regardless. Oh my God.
Oh no, the timing's fucking.
What's up, my Gunthers?
What's going on?
Nothing much. Just had me like a little Sammy. Drink a cold beer.
Heck yeah.
Pop in on this. What's up with you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I'm excited you're here. You just missed JJ from Minneapolis. Dude's cool.
JJ.
He's been playing for like close to a year.
I can't put a name to the face right now.
I didn't know him. You didn't know me.
We
That's
didn't
cool,
ask if
though.
you've done any travel tournaments. Actually, we probably should have asked that.
Oh, I went to Gate Fair, so I might have ran into him there, maybe.
Yeah.
They want me to go. I don't think you should go.
That's cool.
Well,
Yeah. So what's up, Eduardo?
Dallas County College.
Nothing much. Sorry, I'm like kind of talking to my sister and my girlfriend. Or maybe I hopped in a second too early, but I'm really interested in that KQ Flight School After Dark with Kyle G. How long
Was that you?
No,
Was that
no,
you?
no. It was me.
I was wondering who that was. All right. Well, you talk to your sister. You talk to.
All right, I'm about
And
to hop
then-
back in, and then we'll touch on that topic then.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. I'm muting myself for a hot sec.
Hello. Hey, Clarkson. How's it going, buddy? Nice. Well, hear ya, I guess. It's nice to hear you as well. It's been going good so far on the stream. I don't know. Yeah, makes sense. JJ from Minneapolis. Over an hour. No, he's gone now. He was in here for like over an hour. So we just chatted for a while, looked at some stuff from Killer Queen 30, answered a couple questions that Rob San Francisco submitted. And now we're in a lull. I have nothing to talk about. So if you have any questions about Killer Queen Arcade that you're in, feel free to ask them. Yeah, I feel that. We forgot to the last tournament in Chicago, and then the computer is just paid when shelter in place happened. So we just it's recorded locally on the way to arcade and get it. So I'm just I want to listen to this, or I want to watch this tournament. I want to watch it so bad. It's the last tournament I played in. And I just can't. Yeah. User settings. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Like the voice, the input volume to maybe 85.
Input volume or
this-
input sensitivity?
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
so-
I have to uncheck that
Yeah,
box.
I was following the same steps. I was like, is this a Mac thing? Because I know what he said he's also on a Mac earlier. So
Yeah. So I uncheck automatically determine input sensitivity, and now it's at negative 40 decibels. I'll just move it down to
Yeah, this
Gotcha.
is probably the cutting out we were talking about earlier, Woody. I
Oh,
think Clark
really?
was right. Yeah, it's a lot
Oh.
better now.
Oh. So does that just make it so that I can be talking at a lower volume and it still registers? Okay, this is working much better. Yeah, because I noticed on my the ring that appears when you're talking, I was noticing that it was cutting out the way people were saying that. Oh, nice. This is so much better. So talking louder would have been a solution as well, but this is a much easier solution. The only thing that we looked at was a very specific section of 30, this final bit right here, which is just when we almost have Snail in, we're trying to keep control, so we get that last kill, and then immediately, instead of supporting Snail, I'm going to go and get the last gate, and then I'm going to go support Snail closeout. But the thing that we were really talking about is right here, when all my warriors die, that it's really odd that I rise up here. Like that most queens would not rise up there because they would I don't have a drone down there riding Snail, so I'm not controlling the Snail space. And also by rising up here, I risk that queen can dive underneath me and stop my Snail. But I'm letting her do that. I'm okay right now. This whole time, I'm okay with her getting the Snail pulled back because it helps me get my full formation and stops her from getting hers. Because I don't let her get left gate, and and if she goes to middle gate, then I can chase. Yeah. Oh, I think a little up here, right here. Like that, or a little earlier? Well, I think she can get a pickup out of left pretty well whenever. Right now, because essentially on all maps, the way it works is if you kill all the enemy drones in an area, then you have a timer to get a pickup that is as long as it takes their drone to get back to the Snail. So because all the drones are dead, and that's actually the reason why I rose up. I think if I had had a drone down there when this happened, I would have stayed because I just would have closed out the game. I had all the gates because the nature, since the presence of my drone means that she can't leave without throwing the game. I stay to make it so she has to outplay me. But since my drone's gone, she's free to leave to go get a gate, which means I don't want to let her do. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and we were going on about how control facilitates objective pressure, but also vice versa. And this is a perfect example of vice versa. This whole section right here. Starting here, you can see how our objective means that I'm chasing their queen, and then she has to go stop Snail. And she does a great job of it. This whole section, she does a great job of it. There's so much pressure there. Survives that, really good stuff. But the whole time, we have all the gates. And so we get control, and I'm not even supporting gate control, but I am by threatening the Snail. Because the fact that I'm by the Snail means that she needs to be by the Snail stopping it. Yep. Yeah. So it's one of those weird things where I'm by Snail, but because I'm by Snail, I'm running gate control. Because by being by Snail, she has to be by Snail, which means she can't tag gates. I think that I can't think of anything specific on like a specific clip off the top of my head. That's a good example on other maps. But you can take like night map and just kind of shove it until the snail. Does the snail get far? Please tell me it gets far. Okay. No. Yeah, well, I think, but even still, like if you're closing out, and I was telling this to, this was a feedback that I gave to Helen whenever she was queening for the league we had recently, which is on Snail, when the enemy team gets the Snail far. Oh, they get it really far on this. This is probably going to be a good sequence. We'll see. But because Snail's really far over there, if my team gets wiped, I have to like stop that Snail. Oh, I think we just do a good team job. But even still, like look at Stripes on Snail right now, the Snail Rider. How close are they to, like, if I was the queen and I had just killed the Snail and I was on top of the Snail, I could easily get to middle gate or to get to right gate. So when you're trying to recover and stop Snail on night map, you can reliably get a kill on the drone riding the Snail. And the moment that happens, you've got your 5-second window to bop over to middle or rise up to far gate to try to get a single pickup. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Gotcha. Oh, cool. A couple questions came in on Twitch that we can chat about, so that sounds cool. Brian McMahon asked the utility of owning the map. Oh, okay, I missed this. Can you talk a bit about routes for tagging gates? The utility of owning the map before pushing a position is pretty clear, but I'm curious about how to best optimize doing it. That is a very good question. And I have a feeling that this is something that I should pull up, like some sort of Eduardo. I was like, what is this noise?
It's me smoking a cigarette.
Eduardo's mic is always the loudest mic of anything he's on. Like, it always just sounds like he's like strolling out and about. It's like dude is just like wandering the hills, just like, hey guys, what's going on? I was just like in the middle of like trying to find something, and I hear that noise come on. I'm like, what is happening?
I don't know. It's these headphones. These headphones
it's the headphones.
Have a really good mic. Yeah, I don't know why.
It's the headphones. You gotta increase the decibel latency or whatever it
I've
is.
messed with this. Rob always makes fun. Well, I started trying to play a little bit of Killer Queen Black with Rob since I'm losing my mind since I can't go to the arcade.
Dude, I'm messing with you. I don't know anything about anything, man.
Yeah, no. But people tell me this microphone like picks up everything. He told me he could hear Russell and a spoon hitting the plate the other day. We were playing. Maybe output. Is that better?
Dude, I don't care. You're fine. I'm just messing with you.
All right. This is life. This is what we're doing now.
So what I'm going to try to do is download. I don't have JPEG versions of the maps on my. Maybe because I have Photoshop versions. Oh no, it worked. Okay, I'm good. I'm able to just open the
whiteboard.
Oh, I could. Well, this will be fine.
Okay, it was just an idea.
Yeah, that's actually, because it has the queen on it. So that's actually a better idea. Because also then I won't have to change what I'm. Do you know what it's called or how to find it?
I'm slacking it to you. Yeah, I had to bookmark it because I always lose it.
Blue Christianity. Oh, he linked me. Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I know, but I just didn't put it together until I knew it was you, but I was just like, you were like, oh, I'll send you it, and then I saw that I had the notification, and then I was like,
I guess
oh,
it wouldn't make sense to send it to you in Discord, but
did
whatever.
he send it to me already? But it was fun because I had pulled up Slack in order to find it myself. Okay, this is the one that's showing, right? This is okay. So we're talking about pathing on each of the maps. Hopefully everyone knows where the gates are. I'm gonna be Gold Queen because I prefer it.
Wait, you really prefer Gold Cab?
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
Really? Interesting.
Refresh if you can't drag characters around. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I just realized characters is misspelled.
That's so funny. Okay. So I'm going to start with Night Map because I think it has the most diversity and abilities to tag gates, and I think it's going to spurn most of my other thoughts for good examples of recovery and clips and stuff like that. But the point was, can you talk about a bit about routes for tagging gates? The utility of owning the map before pushing a position is pretty clear, but I'm curious about how to best optimize doing it. So I'm going to take a look here. There's a lot of different pathways between gates. Right here, let's assume I've tagged middle. If I'm here, I can dive down to left, or if I'm at middle, I can dive down to right. That's a pretty straightforward one that everyone knows. And obviously, if you're at a side gate, you can dive down through the wrap in the middle. But also, if you're at a side gate, you can dive down here in order to go up to the top, cross over, and rise up to then go to the other side gate, which I think is an underutilized pathing for sure. And it also lets you combo into the side gate into middle. So when you become aware of this pathing to get between side gates, then what that means is that at any gate on Night Map, you are able to diversify your pathways, which is something that I talked about a little bit in Lockout. We're going to talk about a lot in recovery, which is in recovery, you always want to be diversifying your pathways in order to get between gates. And I think this is a good tool for being able to fly around and get there. That's pretty well how you can get between gates. I mean, obviously, if you're at right and there's no control in the middle, you can fly over to left and then up to middle or vice versa. And those are the quickest. If there's no middle control, you should just bop all the time. Make sure you get all these gates for free. And that's pretty well most of the pathings on Night Map for making sure that you can control. But to Brian's specific point of I'm curious about how to best optimize doing it. A lot of it's quick reaction times, and I think actually this clip of us is a perfect example. I am so focused on having the control here that I'm waiting to see what he's going to do. Because if he's going to go contest left gate, then I got to get right gate and stop him from doing that. But if he was to go over the top to just go to middle gate, I would just push left so that I keep my 2-to-1 gates. But because I see him rising, then I'm going to go get right gate. So that's a really quick twitch reaction of okay, if you're going to go get this side gate, then I want the other side gate. I'm not going to let you have it. And that's a good example of reacting to those actions by the enemy team. I think there are other good moments, and I wonder if I can find any. But in general, if the enemy queen tags speed gates, you should be tagging all the warrior gates on Night Map specifically. They're all super close to each other. If you're at middle and the enemy queen flies around and goes to tag side gates, there's no reason not to just tag those side, or goes and tag speed gates, then there's no reason for you not to go and tag the side gates. What else was best optimize doing it? I wonder if there's any other interesting pathways on different maps. because like so this is actually a really, really hard question for me because I don't know what people don't know, right? Like there's no way for me to know like these pathways that I like take for granted that I take all the time. I don't know if like that's not universal to people. So let me
I
just
think
take
talking about your flow on day would be very useful. Just like the general routes you take as you're moving through day. Not necessarily like the lockout breaking into middle or anything, but
okay, that's fair. Maybe we should just watch a day map. So, oh no, this is not us. I won't be able to talk about where my headset is at. It's not that you can't glean anything off of other players, but I just want to be in my own head while I talk about it, so I want to watch something that I did. All right, so this is Grand Finals at KQ30. I actually think I'm going to go ahead and speed it up a little bit for something like this, because it's just pathing. Queen's bump in the middle forever, because we're both playing top tier KQ. Oh, so this is a good example. So once I push the queen out because of threats and movement, I take this whole spot. But one of the things that I'm looking for is my opportunity to either, if he rises too high, to be able to get right gate to like stop that formation. But I don't think that's going to happen. But that's why I stay there. Otherwise, I would normally tag middle and take the gate tag. And I think I might get there at some point soon. Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, no, I moved back to support. Get middle gate. Yeah, so I feel really great here. So this is something I'm stoked about. So their queen went and got right gate, which I actually don't think is a super good call here. I think it's fine. But I get middle gate off of it. Having middle gate tagged on day map when both queens are contesting for middle control is way, way, way more important than having your near gate tagged. Because near gate for the most part is only tagged for your team. Like in these like fights, people don't tend to get up at that gate. And also you can always tag it at any time because you're on your side of the map. So like tagging it right there doesn't give you like a ton greater presence and control than going for the ditch effort when a drone appears. And it enabled me to be able to get middle gate pretty reliably. So I'm definitely just going to hold this spot. Oh, so this is an interesting decision. So I can't do anything about that they have, or that we don't have left gate tagged. I'm never going to go over and tag left gate because the enemy queen being at right gate would mean that my going and tagging left gate would empower that queen to get the other gates, until checkers is in position to pin them over there. But pushing them out, I feel really happy here right now with just like letting my team force the queen out. I'm going to pick up a speed gate off of this. I'm not doing it super, but now because I get that speed. Oh, this is actually really, so because I tagged this speed gate, gold queen is going to go tag the other speed gate, which allows me to get middle. And you can see it now. I'm at 2 gates to 1, and it's because I had control of middle at all times. I fought them for their far gate and managed to take it. Which, like, even if I don't win that, like, I don't need it. If they keep it, it's still 2 gates to 2 gates. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you consider every neutral gate to be a gate for a team, then since we both had left gate, and I had middle, and they had right, then we each have 2 gates. I have middle and left, they have right and left. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. You can also, some people, like, will oftentimes had contested gates be considered like half a gate. So like if it's tagged for your team but you're fighting over it, it's only half a gate. So he might have considered us to have 2 gates and them to have 1.5 gates, but I don't really care. But yeah, so now I feel really great here. Day map, this is perfect. It's exactly where I want to be. I want to have 2 gates, and I want to be sieging the other side gate. So I have middle and right tagged, and now I'm sieging left gate. I think I was hard reading a warrior going under there, but I should have stayed left and contested left gate a little bit more. But I feel really good with this. And I think that's just a good example of like gate pathings on day. What do you think, Chris? Did I answer the question?
Yeah, actually, just the insights into why you moved to different gates at different times is very useful. So.
Cool. Yeah. Specifically day map, I've really been unsure lately with day map whether or not it's better to. The perfect example is the dip. Whether or not it's better to tag middle and then go tag near, or if you should tag middle and then go tag far because it's free, right? Assuming the enemy queen is dipped, or if it's better for you to tag middle and then go and contest near. And I'm really conflicted on which one's the right call. I'm really not sure, and I mentioned insight there. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up. It's the only game I can think of in recent memory that I got dipped on at an opener on day map. It was against Walshy at camp in like winners quarters or winners semis, something like that. Yeah, here. Oh no, this isn't gonna be useful. Sorry, never mind. I kill him at the opener. Yeah, I can't think of one recently. But that would have been. I really wish I'm gonna find it and do a video. But I'm really not sure, right? Because if you keep the nomenclature of like one gate, two gates, that type of thing, like if the enemy queen dips you on day map opener and then tags your near gate, and if you tag middle and then you go and contest near gate, well then you're in the same situation that I was just talking about, right? You can create this situation automatically.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but isn't the issue they interrupted your vanilla form at your safe gate then?
Probably, yeah. I mean, the major like worst case scenario is that they killed like 3 of your drones. But I feel like I don't know. I think if your vanilla gets up out of near gate, you should definitely go back to near gate. It's something I haven't tested with. I always just flipped the map, and I think I flipped the map primarily to get my speed warrior up. But now that I think about it, like if say neither team kills the vanillas, the first vanillas on both teams get up, there's no way you're gonna assure that your speed warrior can get it up out of far gate because it's contested by a vanilla. Like you'll probably kill the vanilla, but maybe they kill your speed warrior in the process, you know. So I'm really not sure what the best call there is. I'm feeling inclined to say that if the enemy queen dips you, you should tag middle and head back to near gate. I'm feeling inclined that that is the correct call. But perhaps I feel like the crossover is to deny their speed warrior easy formation. Maybe it's just a call for stability versus a call for chaos. I don't have an answer. That's it. If anyone else has an answer, chime in. I think Brian did have another question though, right? Or no, Ryan had a question as well. The full mill day open has gained a lot of popularity recently. Assuming you have the personnel, what do you think about flexing into full mill at other points of the game? For example, to break a 3v3 stalemate, are you more inclined towards a full mill flex in disadvantage, advantage, or neutral game states? So, I'm gonna exclusively talk about day with this. And while like full mill on day is really strong, it's really, really strong. Because of how oppressive lockout is on day and how top down it is. I think I support flexing into full mill at other points in the game. But so the issue I have here is that I think the evaluation you have to make is, does another warrior more effectively push Snail, or not push Snail, does another warrior more effectively break this stalemate going on than if you were to attempt to push Snail? And I think oftentimes the answer is no. Because I think we forget or don't realize how much the Snail is a locus for attraction that brings all the people around it and makes them fight on weaker terms, and how important that is for creating discord. And I think if you have 4 warriors up versus a team running a 3-1 Snail push, whenever the Snail is in an advantageous position where it can be moved, because I think where the full mill day open is really good is because it's hard to move Snail at opener on day, especially if the enemy team has more warriors than you. But I think it's not as good as it could be in other positions. I think once the Snail is out of the tunnel on day, it's a lot weaker. But I'm not really against it. I don't know. And I think also it comes down to what what's the makeup of your squad, right? What is the strength of that 4th warrior that's going to get up? Because I think that's a critical part of it too. Is I think we talked about this earlier, but if your 4th warrior is a significant drop off, not compared to your 3rd warrior, but compared to their 3rd warrior, then it's a lot weaker of a decision to make to get them up, because the likelihood that they can be impactful is pretty diminished. But I think a lot of teams are repping squads that are really strong across the board and can leverage that spot. I'm actually right now looking for a match from Nationals where a team got up full mill, and so the other team ran, I think it was Cody's team, Sting Theory from Portland versus 60%. I think it was in losers finals. I found the match. I'm going to play through it. It's a really good example. I think one of the teams gets up full mill, and so the other team starts running berries as a response. And I think it does a good job of demonstrating why that isn't necessarily the right call. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so I found it, so I'm going to clip over to the actual stream. All right, is everybody able to see this? Cool. So I'm going to go back until they started running berries. So gold gets full mill at opener. Pretty quickly. They get 2 vanillas out of right. They get a second speed up. Yeah, what's up? Oh yeah, sure. So it's big. Oh, let me know. If I hit full screen, what happens on your end? Oh, cool. It's full screen. Okay, great. I wasn't sure if it would because it was being weird about sharing screens that aren't desktop. I'm gonna go back. It's actually an interesting full mill because Cody loses the center battle, but that second vanilla means that they can't contest the speed warrior anyways. And they end up getting their second speed warrior out after a while, but middle. Yeah, and they get a good kill in the process. So now 60% only has 1 warrior up. Cody gets a good queen kill. And now they're on the back foot. So this is really interesting because this is full mill. and it's really strong, and everyone like is kind of feeling like it's going to be the future, and I think it is. But you can see like right here is a perfect example of like resources kind of like being equalized. 1, 2, 3. Now, look at how one drone in the tunnel is able to draw both checkers and skulls to pincer it, right? And they'll successfully kill that drone. And that's not bad because it's actually the exact same resource distribution, right? It's one drone beats 2 warriors instead of one drone, well, not beating, but one drone takes up the attention of 2 warriors instead of, if they were running 3-1, it would be one drone takes up the attention of a warrior and a drone because they'd be trying to move the snail. So it's the exact same. It's 2 pieces for gold beating 1 piece for blue. But they don't get snail push out of it, right? They just like keep up control. But like gold isn't really getting anything out of this full mill. Like they got the opener victory and they got all at the beginning. Blue's gonna respond with berries, but I'm just like right here, like if you ask me like what does gold do, I don't know. Like it might just be that like I'm bad and people are still bad. But like I can't figure out if you don't have someone able to push an objective, how you create anything in the game.
I was gonna say oh god. I was gonna say I usually tell your worst vanilla warrior who usually run objective, go kill yourself. Go for something spicy and just do it.
Yeah, I think that's the call, right? So like but so and I agree with that for sure, 100%. But I think to bring it back around to the question, right, of like, what do you think about flexing at a full mill at other times? Oh, Clarkson, Cody just said in chat, Clarkson, we can't hear you. So maybe you need to do something. Yeah. But the question is, what do you think about flexing in a full mill at other points in the game? For example, to break a 3v3 stalemate. Are you more inclined towards a full mill flex in disadvantage or neutral game states? And I think I just like can't imagine where it would be good to flex up to full mill unless you have like a specific thing going on. Like unless like you really feel like you can make a specific play right now. You got to go for an aggressive play. Other major exception is just that I think everyone's flowcharts should be 5 seconds ahead of what's going on. So like if you see that 2 players are in a risky position over at the right side of the map and probably one of them's going to die, grabbing that warrior gate because you want to make sure someone's up is like totally acceptable. I think that's like you're getting a full mill, right? But like with the expectation that you'll be back into formation pretty soon. But you know what? I think I've just answered a different part of the question without like really coming around. Because the last part is, are you more inclined towards a full mill flex in disadvantage, advantage, or neutral game states? And I think the answer by a landslide for me is that it's disadvantage. Disadvantage is one. If things are really bad for my team, I need it. If we have an advantage, I just want to push that advantage. And I can't push that advantage without an objective runner. And as this actually showed, the game state that we just watched shows, is that actually the moment that they hit advantage is whenever the full mill program stopped being useful. This is a lot of control play. It's people like fighting over gates, trying to get formations. They're trying to stop formations. They get 2 great kills. Mark's great. And then that queen kill. And right here, this is the moment where full mill stops being useful for their team. Because they're just not going to let them get that again. And they have no way, like gold has no way to like create anything. And the fact that we all agreed that like someone should go die kind of demonstrates that there's nothing that full mill does here, which is to say, imagine if right now checkers wasn't alive. Would we tell him to get up in this advantageous game state? No, we wouldn't, because I don't think getting up full mill when you have the advantage is the right call.
I mean, yeah, that all makes sense. I mean, the purpose would be to win the first, 25 seconds of the game, right? And that's the
for
purpose
opener
of
for sure. For opener for sure. But like, I'm trying to stick to Brian's question a little bit, which is
I understand.
The full mill day open has gained a lot of popularity recently. What do you think about flexing to full mill at other points in the game? So I completely agree 100% at opener, but at other points in the game, I'm trying to figure out times where it makes sense. And I really think it's just disadvantage. Like, the enemy team has like 9 berries in it. Your snail has barely moved at all. You got to get more control in that space. You know what? Everyone keeps cycling. Your queen's not going to be there. You think people might die. You need more support in the air. Get someone up. Have 4 up. Everybody move to that space. Especially like if everyone's like if your like defensive program over there is like really unstable, then you aren't going to be able to push Snail effectively anyways, probably. And I think it just makes sense to get up. Which I think kind of comes back to like a poor distribution of resources, though. Like I strongly think that if you have 3 warriors up, someone should be guarding your objective at all times. Like someone should be making sure that your objective moves. But I think some people disagree with me. Like full team abandonments for other stuff, I think happen a lot.
If you have lockout, would they still be guarding the objective, or would they be just helping enforce lockout?
So that's a great question, and I'm really glad that you asked it. I have had very different, extensive flowcharts for objective runners that I think have mostly been based on how much that objective runner and that warrior could coordinate effectively. And I think this is something that I talked about in Slack in strategy that I think a couple of people like hand waved away when I said that. We're kind of like, well, I don't think it takes that much coordination for a warrior, like a snail guard and a snail rider, to like do other things. But man, like so 30 is a perfect example. We had like struggle at times to like make sure that we had control before, or that we had snail progress before. So I wonder if I can even find that game. I'll try to. I think there's no right answer. I think there's no correct answer on what to do there. That being said, I think there are like best practices. I think generally having your snail rider just like vanilla chug is not the right call. Like I don't like that. Like you pulling your offensive guard so that the snail rider like vanilla chugs and just eats will mean that your snail barely moves, because they're going to be sacking very regularly, which I think, you know what it is? It's that it's all related to how long you think you can hold lockout and how much longer do you think you can hold lockout based on that warrior leaving the snail space. So like, if you think you can hold lockout for a minute without that warrior, then there's no reason for you to pull that warrior, because that warrior should make sure that the snail moves. But if you don't think you can hold lockout that well, pulling that warrior to make sure that you have more support at the gates can be a good call, but only if it like significantly increases how long you can think you can hold lockout. Because if you can't hold lockout for a very long time and you pull that warrior, like say you have lockout, you pull the warrior, and they get a team up in 25 seconds. And in the meantime, your snail has effectively moved 5 seconds of like vanilla snail travel, because drones have been sacking and delaying them 3 seconds every 3 seconds. Or maybe they have 2 sackers. You know, like you're not moving that snail at all. And so they get warriors back up, and you have little to no snail progress to show for it. I think there are better programs than those two binaries, though. I think the best protocol is having your vanilla and the snail rider coordinate a speed snail swap. So the vanilla can do whatever it wants, but the drone goes and gets speed. And then when that speed drone comes back to the snail, the vanilla has to be there to clear snail. And then the now speed drone chugs by itself. Because speed drone chugging by itself is fine. You can just have a speed drone chug all by its lonesome, and that's completely fine. There's not going to be anything bad because the speed snail's chugging. What do you think, Chris?
No, it makes sense. And I like how you compared the time trade-offs. That makes a lot more sense to it. I was asking because we have this, much like you guys had for Nationals, for GDC, my team had a doc, and I was seeing between openers with the full mill and how we pivot and when we pull people for lockout, it wasn't really well defined. So it was just an interesting question to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is definitely something that I've like thought a lot about. Actually, I wish Eduardo was here so I could like talk a little smack on him. But it was actually something that I talked about.
Present.
Are you here, Eduardo? Are you back? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It was actually this is actually something that Nick and I talked a lot about for our high puzzle team, where Eduardo was running Snail for us.
Terrible. I ran Snail.
So one of the things. So that was a 4-scene team.
Stop breathing so hard.
With.
Did everyone hear that? That's good, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god!
No, that's Rosalinda. She's right next to me.
Yeah, no, I'm not breathing hard. He's breathing hard. I'm breathing at a
me.
normal rate. Oh my god, Rosalinda.
I'm just fat boy on my couch right now. Yeah.
Oh my god. That's so funny. No, thank you. Don't apologize. Say you're welcome. Thank you so much.
Woody thanks you. She's playing Animal Crossing. She's very content.
Heck yeah. I wish I was playing Animal Crossing instead of talking to you nerds.
Got him.
I wish I understood why people played Animal Crossing, but that's a different conversation.
But yeah, join us at 10:15 for the Animal Crossing portion of KQ Flight School, 30 minutes from now. But yeah, so one of the things that me and Nick talked a lot about is coordinating that Speed Snail program and all that stuff. Because like Eduardo, I had literally no idea how good of a drone you were. Like you signed up, and I was just like, okay, I trust all these other people, but I had literally never watched you play drone. So like, drones.
Pretty rough.
Well, you're a good drone.
Don't say that. That's not true. I'm better now, but
we don't want to get too into high puzzle. But the conversation was really about like, will we be able to coordinate that swap off effectively? And it wasn't just about Eduardo. It was about like our offensive guard, like it was still up in the air at that time whether or not it would be Nick or Brian from Charlotte, Brian Lancaster. And if it was Brian, like I don't know that program, like that specific program, saying like, hey, when we get lockout, we might call for a speed snail program, and when we call for a speed snail program, that means that the drone hops off and goes and gets speed. When they come back to the snail, the offensive guard clears the snail and then comes to lockout. I don't know if like that's something. I don't think it is. I don't think that's universal to everybody. I don't think everyone just like gets that, and I think that not everyone just gets that because I played on like 10 teams in different tournaments where I tried to make that happen, and it was hard to make happen. You would have speed drones coming back to the snail and no one there to clear it. Even like I couldn't find it. I was looking for it. I thought it was in that last game. That's what I was cycling through before. But there's a moment where me and Rishi at 30 get like a great kill over by the snail space, and the snail is currently our snail rider is currently being eaten. And I start to move away to go run lockout because we just got the last kill. Rishi also moved to go start lockout. I realized he wasn't going to kill the snail rider, which is his job, and then I dove and killed the snail. And that was like one of those moments of like, we're the winning team of that tournament, a very good tournament with like top tier players, and we're not even coordinating like the basics of like clear the snail at all before you go and help with lockout. You know, like if top tier players and like top tier teams winning tournaments aren't doing that stuff right, like I think a lot of teams aren't doing that stuff right. I think it's a lot harder than people think because your priorities get mixed and your shot calls get mixed. And like a couple seconds of error can mean like a huge mistake. Like if I hadn't noticed that and hadn't dove for the snail and killed it, and Ian got swallowed, that's like 2 seconds more of him getting swallowed. It's 3 seconds of him spawning. It's 5 seconds of him coming back to the snail. It's 5 seconds of us realizing that we need to clear snail again. And in that whole time, they've gotten like 5 seconds of snail pullback. So net for us, it's like a 15-second snail loss of movement. From 2 seconds of error, you lose 15 seconds of snail progress. Net snail progress, because they get 5, you lose 5, you lose 5. Or you have to pull 5 back. And so like those types of dynamics, I think are, see you later, are really like critical for this type of thing. And I think they're a lot harder than people give them credence to. Dylan, are you gonna stick around this time?
I just came in and I didn't realize my mic was hot. That's all.
You're like the 14th person today that has like jumped in while I was in the middle of like a sentence and then just bowed out before the end of the sentence.
I apologize. The only reason I jumped immediately is because I thought my mic was hot and loud, and because I didn't have my headphones plugged in.
No, you actually didn't make any noise when you came in. It's kind of funny. Yeah. But it's like it's just been really funny all day. Chris and I were laughing at it earlier.
Why is nobody in here talking to you?
You're boring people straight out of the channel.
Like,
yeah, that's usually my goal.
Like awkwardly walking in the middle of class and like disrupt everything.
No, I actually was just finishing a sentence that I think like concluded an entire point. So you came in like right at the end of a topic.
Can you just like start over like from like the very top for me? Just like
yeah, for the beginning from when JJ was here.
No.
Yes, please.
For me.
I am not doing that. I did that a little bit. I did that a little bit when Clarkson showed up. He's like, "What have you been talking about?" And I was like, "We were talking about this specific thing on Daymap." And he was like, "Oh, I have thoughts about that." We just like went back to it. It was kind of good.
Yeah. You got 10 whole minutes though to repeat the entire thing for Dylan.
Yeah, no, I was poking in while I was gonna like eat dinner, so I don't stop the show or change the show for me.
No, we like just wrapped up the last question that I have right now. So unless someone else has anything else.
Woody, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, sure, hit me.
I asked Shipwatch this a while ago, and I thought he gave a super interesting answer, and I'd love to hear other people's thoughts about it. Regarding as the game gets more and more optimized, whether or not there's room for personality in people's play. You know, we spend a lot of time talking about the most optimal things to do and pathing between all those different areas and different strategies, and I was curious if you had an opinion on whether or not, I mean, very obviously there's an extreme optimization that you know, we could reach, but whether or not there's room within Killer Queen as people continue to get better for queens to kind of have personality in their play or their strategy and style.
Can I interject really quick? Okay, so the players optimize the game, but
True.
the game itself gets nerfed. That's my issue. That's all I gotta say.
Did you say the game itself gets nerfed?
Correct.
Is that what Gotcha. Okay, cool. You cut out a little bit there. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, but so like as players optimize like the play of the game, like will there be presence for style is kind of the question. And I think like absolutely yes. Because I think like the more you push like optimization, the more like those stylistic differences like are becoming critical. Because I think there's like no correct decisions. And I think like a lot of like control versus tempo is an example of like there being no correct decisions. Like the fact that if you have Snail almost in the net means that you get the gates and all that control, like those discrepancies that I was talking about earlier about like, so just to catch everybody up, so Dylan's up to speed. So earlier we were talking about like closing out Snail and decision makings to like leave the closeout of the Snail, and like why you would do that, and like this stylistic decision. I really don't think that there's like anywhere to go on this specific situation. Like I don't see there being any development. Is there anyone on the stream right now to let me know if the video is working?
Yeah, everything's working.
Yeah, it's working.
Great.
We're watching it.
Great, rad. Okay. But so I like this example that I was giving earlier about like the fact that I rose up here. But like I really don't think that there's like anywhere to go like development wise that makes this moment right here like more optimal. Like whether or not to stay above Snail to close it out yourself or to make the decision I do of rising up to keep the control. I don't think that there's any like greater skill ceiling that is going to make that decision more correct or more obvious. Like, I think it's a stylistic decision. I think it has benefits and drawbacks. I sacrifice the current Snail space for more control to hopefully get Snail control later. But I could have also just like kept the Snail control and helped push it myself at the cost of potentially losing the gates, right? And I just don't think that that's gonna change. Like I don't see how that would change. I don't see what would make that change. Like nothing about text ceilings, you know, being able to hit your sticks harder, being able to hit your Jadeeyes better. Nothing about that changes that stylistic decision. And I don't think either one is correct. And I think they're positive negative. So I think that answers the question of just like, absolutely, yes, there will be room for style. Absolutely. It's also like the skills, like no matter what, this game will have outplay potential. And so like as people get better and better, the outplay potential is just going to get crazier and crazier looking. And we already see that a lot on these like long 3-1 versus 3-1 Snail slogs, that like the outplay moments are just like so weird and so niche and so specific at the highest level. That like oftentimes the game can even like frankly just look boring. And then all of a sudden is like, what just happened? Where did that come from? Nobody was doing anything for 20 seconds. And so I think like that I can't see in moments like that what their correct decision is being further delineated by skill or optimization or anything like that. I don't know, I've said the same thing 5 times. I'm done. What were you going to say?
Do you notice differences in other people's play styles, and do you adjust accordingly, or do you kind of stay the track and...
I am an extremely scouting forward person. I like very much seek to understand my opponent, seek to understand how they play, not just in general, but like in this game, in this set, in this portion of the tournament. There's a lot of like moments where I capitalize on how are you feeling right now, or like can I bait this specific thing from you, or even like down to like how aggressive can a queen be? How aggressive will a queen be? Like what will she let me get away from, or get away with? A really good example is actually just the grand finals of BB and 30, where I played against Sam. Like one specific thing that I knew is that Sam always stays at middle gate on night map in order to get Snail off the rope, which I think is just as good or positive or strong of a decision as anything else. But so when I would get Snail off the rope at opener, and then they would take the space back, and they would like, for me, I accomplished my first goal of the match. They accomplished their first goal of the match. I got Snail off the rope. They took the space back for me. And now they're pulling it back. I would then take that entire window that they were pulling the Snail back from where I had gotten it, which is just like 3 seconds of Snail movement, but they got to do 6 seconds to get off the rope, right? I would use all of that time to go and tag every single side gate and both speed gates. And at this point, between those 2 tournaments, I did it like, this happened like 4 times on night maps, where like, I would get Snail off the rope, they would take the Snail space back from me, I would go and tag every single gate. And this is not a decision that I would make against most queens, but I know that Sam is not going to go tag those side gates. He's going to stay at middle, which means that I can get those side gates. and I can move on middle with 4 out of 5 gates and acting from what I consider a position of strength. And that's just like a hard scouting, like, I think this is how you will play. I tested it out at a tournament. I was like, oh, this is how you're going to play. And then like keep that going. But it also like really depends on like matchups as well. Like I think those things get diminished. But if you watch camp is just like constant hard reads. And like most of what I'm doing is just trying to outplay my opponents by figuring them out and like trying to learn how to kill them.
Neat. Thank you.
No problem. Marshall, are you trying to talk?
No, am I?
Yeah, you're making a bunch of noises.
Oh, shit.
Are you still at work?
Kind of.
Nice. I think I'm going to order some Kitchen 17 this weekend.
Really?
Yeah. I've been talking to Belly and Kogan about how we need to support you guys.
We're doing our best over here.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Marshall is a player from Chicago. He runs a restaurant in Chicago called Kitchen 17 with his best friend / roommate. And of course, with the like COVID shelter-in-place order, restaurants aren't doing nearly as good as they used to be doing. So we're all making a point to support Kitchen 17. That's what we were chatting about.
Yeah.
Who's Tetsubin Fox?
Oh.
They're gone. Chris, it happened again.
Wait, that's Amanda.
I thought that was Amanda. Okay, I thought it was.
I didn't even see him join us how fast it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Amanda.
I'm getting
driving people away.
I'm getting bodied every time. It's crazy. So we are approaching 10 o'clock, which is when I said office hours was going to end. I'm happy to like stick around if people have more questions and like keep chatting. I don't think I have anything more I want to talk about. Does anyone have anything else they want to chat about?
Nope.
I just kind of want your opinion. Like, how do you feel about power pools at national tournaments?
Man,
Ooh, spicy.
This is a good question.
We kind of talked about this a little bit the other day, me and some other people, but I was curious what you thought.
It's a catch-22, right?
Yeah, but it being
Stop
a
feeding him lines.
it being a catch-22 does also mean that the other side is a catch-22. Like one of the things that power pools are seeking to solve is the fact that when you do normal groups, like what we'll do with 35, is going to be like relatively expected. Like most matches go most ways that most people anticipated. And like I remember I was talking to about this at 30 with Hilton was in my group at 30, and it's like we're the inevitable like first place team, and I don't think they qualified for the double elimination bracket. I think they lost a wild card. They ended up getting like 5th or 6th in our 6-person group, and we were talking about it afterwards. I was just like, "How'd you feel?" And he was just like, "Well, you know, we knew we were going to get stomped." And I was like, "Well, you guys had a good game." He's like, "Yeah, but still." And you know, like it's not super fun. You know, I've a 5th seed team in a 6-person group before, and it's like playing that 1st or 2nd seed team typically is just like a pretty significant romp. And I just don't I don't think there's much value there. I've never seen somebody that is in a 5th or 6th seed team advocate that they want to be able to play first place teams. I've seen people say that what if there is someone that wants to do that? But I've never actually seen someone that is on those teams be like, no, I really, really want to play the best team. I think usually the people that are like, I really, really want to play the best team are like 3rd or 4th seeds in a 6-person group that I don't think are getting selected out anyways. But then if you do pure power pools, right? I remember what originally got proposed way back. I remember it got thrown around for 25. I remember they were proposing one power pool, which is an interesting concept, where like the top 6 teams from the soft seeding were all in the same group. And all of those teams got automatically admitted into the double elimination tournament, which is where I think it got a little more sketchy for some people. But like, would have been like an incredible display of Killer Queen, right? Like, absolutely amazing. Like, the top 6 teams all grinding it out. Like, they don't all always play each other. Like, they usually do towards the end of the bracket, but they don't all always play each other. All the time, the first place team never plays the third place team. That happens routinely. And so, like, cool. We'll get to watch like some really good KQ. I think that'd be a really cool idea. But with the like way that people like Hive Hustle's power pools, I think are really interesting. The way Hive Hustle structured it is it's just tiered. I think, did Charlotte do it that way? Somebody else did that recently.
Charlotte and Columbus both had power pools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hive Hustle wasn't pools. That was part of it. They did. I forget the name of it. It's essentially a ladder where if you lose your first game, you play one of the worst teams, and it does a bad job balancing. It's supposed to pools. You're only playing teams about your own skill level. Because like my team at Hive Hustle, our first game was against the eventual champions. We just got stomped.
I realized I'm an idiot, and when I said Hive Hustle, I meant to say GDC, the tournament that just got delayed.
Oh,
the way GDC was supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Wait. Say that again, Shenanigans, because I feel like you might have misspoke.
GDC was going to do power pools,
but they didn't.
It got canceled. It got postponed for COVID.
Oh, okay.
Well, they were going to do like phases or something. Dan had like a super crazy good idea. I mean,
well, super crazy good, and also, my God, how fucking long. And I think that was like one of my major drawbacks for it. Like, I didn't want to play that much KQ on Saturday, and I think a lot of people don't want to play that much KQ on Saturday. Some people do, but for the most part, I'm not really stoked on the idea of like a ton of like competitive groups on Saturday that like make me stick around forever. I'd be happy to do like my 1-5 matches that are all really hard, and they'll probably last longer because they're going to be super serious. But I don't think I want to be at the arcade 2 days back to back, especially on like a trip that I'm taking. Like, I was going to have to do GDC flying out Friday night and coming back after the tournament Sunday night because I couldn't get time off because the election was coming up. I probably won't do that now. But I was like, man, do I really want my Saturday and Sunday entirely to be Killer Queen? Like, these are vacations also. But, Eduardo, your question was about Nationals. And Nationals, for me, is just exclusively Killer Queen. Like, a lot of Killer Queen tournaments, I, like, sort of also visit the city. When I went to New York for coronation, I was there for like 6 days, and that was mostly a vacation with a side of Killer Queen, honestly. But Nationals is just like obsessively focused. So I think if I'm obsessively focused on a tournament, long groups I think would be really, really exciting. I think they're a cool idea. But I don't, man, still, like, if we were gonna have to be there for like 6 hours or something, I don't know. I'm conflicted on that. I think it's an interesting design. I think it's cool. I think there's merits to it. I'm excited to see it happen when GDC happens eventually. Well, I don't know if maybe they'll call it not GDC. I don't know. I'm excited to see it happen, but I'm not convinced by that concept. The one thing that I really like about the concept of the single power pool that was thrown around for KQ25 is that the single power pool removes all of the like greatest teams from the pools, which means that all the other pools naturally become more competitive because that first seed team no longer exists. Say in every pool, that first seed team doesn't exist. Let's just say it's like a 36 team tournament with 6 groups of 6. Let's just say it's probably not a good way to set up a tournament, but let's just say. Then if you take those 6 out and you put them in their own group, all of the other groups get more competitive, and so you just have like way better games across the board while still keeping it in the same timeline, and all those teams were going to advance anyways. Let's be honest. There's like never been a team at any tournament where like the top 3 or top 4 automatically advance. There's never been a first seed team that hasn't made it out of groups. So like I think that would be fine.
But removing those slaughter is massive gaining more people. Like, no one wants to be destroyed right off the.
Yeah, exactly. No one wants to be destroyed right off the bat. Exactly.
And the top teams don't want to just like fucking destroy people. It's not fun to destroy people. It's not to be destroyed. You want to have even-ish matches.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. And so I think with the like, when we say power pools, and we mean like tiered pools, where like all of the groups are tiered by like this 6, that 6, that next 6. I think there's a lot of value there, but I think at the point that at the point that you're doing that, I just kind of feel like you should be doing what the Emerald City Classic is doing, where they just have like completely different tournaments based on like placement and ranking.
Can you go a little bit further on that? So we talked about, the advantages or disadvantages of power pools. Can you talk about the power pool process then? And do you have any opinions on that as far as making the pools and how to go about it?
Yeah. So as far as like composing what teams are in it?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, I think what you're kind of touching on there is a longstanding concern of like, well, who's doing the seeding? Players are doing the seeding.
Who or how?
Yeah, and it's exactly. And so it's like usually the how is like it's some sort of group of people, whether or not that's a local organizer or like like for national tournaments, it tends to be like a collection of people from across a bunch of different scenes. But that's mostly just been done based on like organizer decision to include other people and community outrage when they haven't. And I think optically, this is something that people don't tend to like and have historically complained about or felt that their seating has been bad. I mean, even recently, there was a tournament not too long ago that we had long conversations about what team should be seeded 4th and what team should be seeded 5th. And this seemed really important because we were not doing groups to establish seeding before the tournament. So this would just be pre-seeding, period. And then it turned out that because of how many teams ended up registering, that those 2 teams played each other first round. That the 4th and 5th seeds automatically played each other.
Power pools. Oh, go ahead.
And so it like ultimately didn't matter where they were seated. And so it didn't really matter like who was making that decision and why they were making that decision, how they were making that decision. Like they made sense that they were 4th and 5th and they ultimately played each other and the decision happened, right? But I think like with power pools, I think there's some concern of like...
Just a second. Hey, Shipwash, go to push to talk or mute.
Yeah, I'm trying. Sorry. I'm playing Fortnite. I'm playing Fortnite while I'm talking to y'all.
Damn, the truth. The truth.
That's funny. Right,
Shipwash actually hopped in here at like 7:40 or something and was playing Fortnite then, like before anyone was here. But when Clarkson and I were trying to be like, is it even set up at all? Is anything working? And like Kyle hopped in here while it was just me in the chat.
I'm learning Fortnite this week, so like this is all new to me. Sorry.
That's a good quarantine tactic, man. I like it. We're all turning to Animal Crossing. You're turning to Fortnite. But yeah, I think so. I commented a lot about general seeding and stuff, but I think it all translates to power pools. That like there's a concern about like which pool you get placed in, where you get seeded in that placement, which is I think what they were trying to solve at GDC by having the like multiple stages. Because if you do power pools and that
phases.
Yes.
Is there a difference?
I don't know. That's what Dan called it, and it was a good idea. So just honors to Dan, I guess.
Oh, I didn't even realize you were correcting me.
Oh, I was.
Did I
I
say
hate that word?
Phases, bro.
What did I say? Stages.
Yeah.
Phases.
You said, yeah. I just like whispered in phases. Thank you.
Did I say stages? I literally just like when you said phases, I was like, oh, that must have been the word I said. Yeah, right, dude.
Yeah, phase up, Eduardo.
Phase up, whatever that means. I don't know. Tyler says it. That's all I really know. I don't internets.
Tyler Phase Loney.
Tyler, stay out. It sounds like you go to a sandwich shop all the time, and then that's your sandwich at the sandwich shop.
But yeah, so what I think that's what they were trying to solve with multiple phases to the tournament, right? Is like if you have multiple phases, then if a team's like, oh man, I don't think that I should have been in the second group. I think we're better than that team. I think we should have been in the first group. Then it's like, okay, well, prove it. Top your group or get second in your group. You'll get moved up to the next group. Then play good in that.
Is the percentage of players in the tournament, in any tournament, with that opinion, and I hate to you don't want to create tournaments to make it as enjoyable as possible for everyone, but
yeah,
is the percentage of players that have that opinion like enough to warrant changing the format of an entire tournament?
I would say no.
I agree with that. And
I would say that people complain no matter what, and like validly, like people say that a lot. Like, well, people are going to complain no matter what, but it's like people have strong opinions on how tournaments should be structured.
Mm-hmm.
People have strong opinions on what's fair, and those are all valid, respectable opinions. And there is no system that appeals to every player of their mentality, their approach, and their skill set. There's no structure that appeals to every single person. Mm-hmm. And so when these tournaments get massive, it is only natural that there will be some subset that is like, I really wish that this had been done different.
Sure.
But that being said, there is like the merit, like probably if you asked the organizers for GDC, like, oh, why did you guys do phases? They would probably say not to like, they probably would not have said what I said, where I said like they did it in order to answer the calls of people who would complain. They probably did it because they genuinely think that it's a fairer structure, that if there are any errors that they made, that they will be solved through the phase system.
Mm-hmm.
And that it ultimately produces like a better result, I guess. Better result is like a hard thing to say. I don't know if they would make that claim. I don't know if anyone would make that claim, because time and time again, organizer pre-seeding is more accurate than any like stage of seeding process.
Do you think that this format should be utilized for nationals as well?
Yeah, I think I'd work on that, and I don't think I answered it, so thanks for bringing it back around.
Sure. Do you mind if I chime in real quick?
Yep.
I would love that. Also, hello, Kevin. I've not talked to you in forever, and it's so great to hear your voice.
How are you? Yeah, it's good to hear from you guys. Yeah, I've played in both of the power pool tournaments so far. I think the biggest complaint that I heard, and I mean, there might have been some like little grumblings about like, oh, I should have been in group one, or like speculation. But I think that there's. Oh, am I still coming in? Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, like there might have been a little grumbling about that, but I didn't like. It didn't seem to be like an overwhelming thing. It was kind of more like, oh, why is that person seated there? Like when seeding comes out, it's kind of like the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like, why is that seated over that? So it's like, I don't know. It seems like a similar kind of like. More of like a speculation than anything else. The biggest grumbling that I heard about for the power pools was what you guys were talking about when it was like, prove yourself, like get first place, and then you can play the last place team in the pool ahead of you, and then you can try to like displace that team, and get ahead of them. And so you would have like, it would be what, 3 of those matches, I think, or 3 or 4 of those matches, I don't know, like I think we had like 4 pools in Columbus, maybe 5 pools, but so it ended up being quite a few. But the biggest problem was like when we were doing the pools, it was all in one day, so it ended up like the last place team in each group had to like come back at the end of the day, or had to come in early. So it was like
messy.
All of these people who had already played way earlier, or who weren't like scheduled to play until presumably like way later in the tournament day, are having to come in like either way later or way early. So that was the biggest issue that I was seeing. Like, and
And
I
you're
think
already like
that's
probably not feeling too good, like after getting smoked in your group, and then you gotta
right.
play the other person. You're
Yeah.
already fucking bummed. Yeah, I think
And
like
you know,
momentum or lack thereof has a lot to do with that too.
and you know what I kind of wonder though is so one of the things of being a team that gets knocked down a group, right? I'm not personally convinced that placing last in a group like proves that you are not as good as a team that placed first in the group a tier below you.
No, not at all. And I think I don't even know if they did a series. It might have been like a map. Like it was just like, let's throw you guys in right away.
So
you know?
Yeah, so that's interesting. That doesn't seem very good to me. The phase system that they were going to be using at GDC looked a lot better, which is like that they swap positions for like a whole nother round of groups. So people would do a whole nother set of groups. So people were just playing a ton. And so, but I don't know how many phases there were. I don't know if you could like earn your place back up or what.
I thought the power pools were nice actually because it was like well, I mean, the nice thing about power pools actually was that like because we were doing like smaller cap tournaments, and this is a big issue with probably why you wouldn't be able to do it in nationals if you have like 50 plus teams or something, like because we had like I think it was like 20 team caps or something both in Columbus and Charlotte. Like everybody was already in the tournament, like because we were doing a 2-day tournament we didn't have to do like the like groups, wild card, and double elim in the same day. So it was like we could spread it out. So we did all of the groups the day before, and then we're able to do like all of that stuff the next day. You know what I mean? And so even in nationals, if you split that into 2 days, it's still just like way too much Killer Queen to play. So I don't really know what the right answer is for nationals. I mean, I think power pools are really cool because it is like everybody's kind of in their same kind of talent range. You're not playing like you're not having to stay around like the whole day to wait for like your next, round to be up or something. Like you're getting it all done at the same time, and you're playing teams that are like in your skill level, and you're already like guaranteed a seed. Because like I said, everybody that was in those tournaments were like gonna get into the tournament anyways.
You are hitting every single like point that the power pools like supports. You hit every single one of them, and I think that power pools should be a thing for at least next 2 years at minimum. We can change it after that, but at minimum, that's where it should be.
Yeah.
I don't
sorry, you said the next 2 what?
The next 2 years should be at least power pools.
I still don't know how you do it for nationals, though. I mean,
because the slaughter matches. So here, let me go ahead and I'll try to something that I've been wanting to.
You're cutting out a lot, Triple F.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there something you can talk close to the mic, talk louder, maybe?
Okay, hold on. I'll talk louder, and I'll also try the Fortnite.
Clarkson has cool instructions on how you can lower the decibel level that your mic requires.
I can't hear what's going on in Fortnite because I want you guys to understand this. But
You're good, man.
I know, it sounds really elitist.
Where are we dropping?
I'm sorry, it's terrible. So no, the slaughter matches 100% have to need to go away. Have to need to go away. I know I said that in a weird way because I'm drunk, and I'm also trying to tell you guys how it is. But like those slaughter matches, that's bullshit. No one wants to do that. The people on the top end don't learn shit. People on the bottom end definitely don't learn shit, and they get pushed away from it. They get pushed away because they were in a slaughter match. That's not fun. That's not cool. That's not okay. That's my soapbox that I'm going to stand on here for a moment. But like,
yeah.
the power pools do need to be around for at least 2 years, at least, because we need to give the people that have the skills the playground to play on, as well as we need to allow those that don't have the skills to not play on that same playground. So you're triaging.
Yeah,
the
I
game.
agree. I'm interested after like a handful of tournaments like this, what the people, because like the biggest concern is for the like 2nd through 4th seeds in any group, right? Those are the people that have the potential to like be upset about it, where oh man, I really wanted to play that first seed team. Like I've never gotten to play a team of that count. Like I want to know what that's like, and they can also hang. Like they can hang. They're gonna be good games.
That doesn't help. I've played against a team break before, and it doesn't help.
For the second, if you're the 2nd seed in a group, I think playing the first is fine. Like it's a good match. If you're the 3rd or 4th, it probably gets like closer.
But
I think
it
doesn't help.
I think that's gonna happen.
If you can't get up, and if you can't make your maneuvers, it does not help.
But like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the 6th seed in a group that's getting stomped.
But I think the lower seeds, like in the tournament, are probably like if they get into the tournament, like out of the pools, then they're probably going to face like one of the higher seed teams anyway. So they're still going to get that experience outside of the pools. Okay, so wait, hold on. My biggest issue with power pools is their length, right? So it's when you do traditional pools, you have, like really strong teams down to like, really weak teams in the same like grouping, right? So you have matches that are like really uneven. Then you have some that like might take, a little bit longer, but there's like, because of the disparity in skill, like they're not going to take as long as power pools, because power pools are just a whole bunch of games that are a lot more even. So I don't know how, like I was saying earlier, I think it's fine in a smaller tournament. I think it's great in a smaller tournament because you're getting so many good matches like early, and then you're getting like a more of traditional vibe like later. But yeah, I don't know how you do that shit in nationals. Like if we're talking about.
So I jumped into the call right during my pet topic of power pools and groups.
What's up, Dan? Perfect timing, baby.
Duration should not be a thing.
I appreciate the argument that longer games are somehow bad, when I think that there's probably general consensus that like the longer a Killer Queen game lasts, the better quality of a game it probably was.
I don't think we're talking about the games. I think we're talking about the day.
Yeah,
like if you do 2 or 3 rounds of groups, you're there for like 6, 8 hours or whatever. I don't think it's like the difference between like a 3-minute game or a 5-minute game or a 10-minute.
Can I cut again?
I think either way. Go ahead.
Real quick. Oh, so the duration means that you are more equal. It does not mean that you're a better team. It means you're more equal.
Yeah,
that's my sentence.
Games go longer the closer match people are. Yeah.
Correct. I agree. Yes.
Yeah, and it's definitely true that TOs need to plan around that. But like, if you look at raw minutes of play time on the cab during groups, like I agree that if the games are going to be like 25% longer because they're better matchups, then yeah, you need to adjust your format so you play like slightly fewer sets, but you'll still get the same number of minutes on the cab, and probably those minutes are going to be against evenly matched teams that are much more interesting games for everybody.
Agree.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar. So Kevin, maybe you can speak to this more. So I'm not familiar with exactly the systems that Columbus and Charlotte had that you played at, and you were the one that raised the concern of length. But they were just one round, right?
Yeah, I mean, but like still the issue was that, and we actually made like really good time in the tournaments. I think it'd end up being like we slotted out like 2.5 hours for each group, and we ended up like making that. So it wasn't really
It's pretty
a
good.
concern with like the organization of the tournament and how long we thought that groups were going to take. It was still just like logistically they were just small tournaments. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
was kind of like easier to I don't know, like assume how long things would take, and they actually took that long because it was like I don't know. It's hard to describe. I just like the the organizations of the power pools were actually like really good, I think, except for the coming back and playing the first and last people. But yeah, I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay, that sounds good.
If you get 50 teams in a tournament, though, like how many like okay, I'm speaking like I played in a lot of these tournaments so far, the Powerball tournaments, but I've actually like never played in the nationals before. So like if you have like how do you guys normally do pools in a nationals? Like I'm speaking completely.
Well, so if you have a huge tournament, right? Like 30 and BB4 were huge outliers last year. It was 42 teams at 30 and 57 teams at BB4. And 30 ran effectively on 2 cabinets by just having like different times where every group was running. So there were, I forget how many, I think there were 10 groups or something like that. And so like there were 5 time slots that everyone was at. And 2 groups were running simultaneously, 1 on each cabinet. And it just like got over. And if you did power pools where like there was no stages like it was going to be at GDC, you could do it in the same, like roughly the same amount of time. Like maybe the games go a little longer, maybe you add a half an hour or something, but it's not going to be a lot. It's not going to be a lot. And
I'm dumb. I'm not even like taking into account that like there are multiple cabinets. Like we only had like one set of cabinets for each.
Yeah. So that was the big thing in nationals.
Yeah,
Nationals, frankly, like you could have done whatever you wanted with that tournament, and it was going to get done in a reasonable time. Yep. There were a dozen cabinets. I forget exactly how many, but there were about a dozen cabinets, and they was just like churning through. So I think you could have done whatever you wanted on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I think that usually what becomes the issue is not time at nationals; it becomes volunteers and like staffers that are able to man stations and keep people going, and coordination, like all that stuff becomes more logistically difficult the more complicated the system becomes. Hey Dan, how was GDC going to work? I knew that there were phases. How many phases were there?
Sure. So we were going to do 3 phases, and the idea of doing phases. Let me give you my 30 seconds on what the setup is going to be. Basically,
I'm moving up in the elevator. Go for it.
Right. Take everybody, make power pools out of them. Let's imagine there's groups of 5, 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, etc. Every one of those groups of 5 plays a round robin within itself, and then the top and bottom teams in between each switch and for the next phase, and then you play a new set of round robins with the new top 5 and the new second 5, and then promote and relegate again and do it a third time. With enough cabs, you can do that over and over as many times as you need to. The thing that phases helps with is that there is a weakness in power pools where what if a team is grossly over or under seeded, then power pools can only move somebody up or down 5 places max, right? So if they especially and like one of the things that you always want to take into account is you don't want some team of people that just doesn't show up to national level tournaments very often but is still good. You don't want to disenfranchise those and force them to only play the best teams and underseed them and have that carry through. So if with power pools, if you only do one phase, there's a potential weakness that if your seeding is way wrong, then some team might get wrongly seeded and then wrongly seeded into the DE, and that's not cool. But if you have enough cabs and time to do multiple phases, then that team could win out their lower level group, go to get promoted, win out again, and get much closer to where they're at. So that's what phases were for. was to be able to do power pools, but also give all the teams something to play for in terms of promotional and relegation, and give a little bit of mixing up in between different stages of power pools, and also to be able to make sure we didn't accidentally misseed somebody and have that dramatically affect the double elim results.
So
gotcha.
I'm gonna interject really quick. So you're talking about regular, turning off Fortnite right now. So regular pools are uniform pools. We should talk about regular pools as uniform pools, because that's what you're doing. You're uniformly distributing the skill level across pools.
Yeah.
It's a uniform pool. It's not just pools, it's a uniform pool.
Yeah, that's a good nomenclature for it.
Uniform pool. Power pools, yes, there is a little bit of community bias in that, because the teams that are built are dynamic. Like, we don't always see, there are a few teams that are constant, but there are a lot of teams that are dynamic, and they're constantly changing, and they're constantly, like, you can tell, yeah, oh, this is a good player, this is a good player, this is a good player, but like, whenever they get together, you don't know what's going to happen. So
yeah,
you need to take that into effect.
A little bit of data on that is that, so most people might know that I ran this tournament predictions bracket last year, where people could rank ahead of a tournament the placement they thought a bunch of people would get, and then track that against the final results. And part of the purpose of that little exercise, one, was to have fun doing fantasy predictions and bets and everything, but also to get some information about, like, how good is just the general community at large, not even talking about seeding committees, how good are they at picking ahead of time how well teams were placing. And so one of the things we were able to do is figure out, on average for every tournament, how many like double elim rounds off were the general public's predictions on average. So for example, if I predict Woody's going to get second and then he gets first, then I was a round off. If I predict that I'm going to get fifth, but instead I get seventh, then I'm a round off, because those are like the rounds of the double elim. And almost every tournament, the average across everyone's prediction was around like 1.3, something like that. Like a little bit higher, sometimes a little bit lower, but mostly, like, the very worst tournament, the average was 2 rounds off. So, and then the best tournaments, it was 1 round off. So generally, people are just like average people out in the community are able to predict within a round or so where teams are going to land.
Yeah, and the seedings from groups actually tend to have a wider discrepancy than 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah,
that was another
those rounds off. Those rounds off are not linear. A difference between 1 and 2 and a difference between like 3 and 1 are not linear.
Yeah, that's why we did rounds off instead of places off, because I think places off is not linear. Like 5 to 6, that's the same round, but they're different places. And like 12 to 13 is 1 round, but it's this, so rounds off is linear. Okay. In the sense that, like, how many wins did you have or before you had 2 losses? So rounds off tracks that, rather than trying to estimate the difference between.
But still, a loss between 5 and 6 and a loss between 1 and 2 are completely different.
I think, Kyle, are you suggesting that if you layer the skill discrepancy over the top of it, that like the 5th and 7th place teams tend to be closer to each other than like the 1st and 3rd place teams? Is that the point you're trying to make?
Not exactly, no.
Gotcha. I'm kind of confused.
Yeah. So yeah, it does. The skill gap gets smaller and smaller, but the value of those changes is dramatic. That's
Oh,
very vague.
Are you saying because of the ties? Are you saying because of the ties?
That's very vague, but that's the best I can.
Because like the tie, like the difference between getting 9th and getting 13th is 4, but it's 1 round. Is that what you're saying?
Like if I went into a tournament and I was like, I'm gonna go up 3 places. I'm at 13th position. I'm gonna go up 3 places. Cool. That's doable. But if I'm seated at 4th and I'm like, I'm gonna go up 1 place, that's the same as going up 3 places from 13th, if not more. Does that make sense?
I think it kind of makes sense. I think like the idea that you're saying is that like kind of like the difference between 4th and 3rd in a double elim is you got like 1 extra game win along the way, right? And that's also the difference between 4 places if you want to go from 12th to 8th. You had you had to win a whole set extra. So I think if you want to say that like roughly every set is equivalent, which is arguable, but like it's at least like
they're
a
not
thing that's equivalent.
They're not
like
sorry, they're not.
I mean, sure, right? But but it's more, it's closer, and I feel like this is what you were saying, that like it's a big difference. Like it's not the placement, it's the number of rounds is closer to an accurate measure than the placing itself.
Yeah. It's not beating going from like 30th to like 13th is not the same as going from like 3rd to 4th, or excuse me, 3rd to 2nd. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's hard. Am I on? Yeah, I'm on. Sorry.
Yeah, you're on.
It's hard. It's like at this point, at some point, you're like quantifying like how much better is the first team than the 5th team, and how much better is the 5th team than the 20th team, and you're trying to make those comparable units. And you're totally right that it's not really comparable, except in this like what did they place in the tournament. But like that's not. That doesn't tell you anything about the gap in skill between one place and another, right?
And I don't want to say it's exponential. I don't think that it is, but it's different.
Definitely, it's different.
It's different, and that's why I don't like that you're, I guess, ranking people based on the ranks that they go up, because the ranks as they go up get harder and harder and harder.
Well, that just sounds like a general critique of seeding.
Well, I mean,
I think it's like the solution to this is to have 10 times as many killer queen teams and have a more even grade of skills and to understand more about like what makes teams good and everything.
Yeah.
And we're way far away from that, and that's good. That's why we like the game. Is that all that stuff is yet to discover.
And the problem isn't just the skill, but also the strategy and how you slept the night before and what you're doing the day of and how you feel and where your health is. Like there's so many more other attributes other than just like raw skill.
Yeah, your preparedness.
Sure.
How broken the cabs are.
Yeah. Do you feel comfortable here? Whatever. Yeah, no. There's a lot of other things.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, that was rad. I agree. This was a good conversation about power pools, their drawbacks and positives. I enjoyed this. I think we're gonna wrap up pretty soon.
I think everybody left
for like 3 hours. But Kyle's been here longer than anyone. I think maybe longer.
I think everybody left.
But we keep getting Kevin's still here. Still here. But does anyone else have anything else they want to talk about before they close out? We close out for the night. I'm gonna take that as a no. Cool. Well, thank you all so much for stopping in. I had a lot of fun doing this. This was a really, really good time. Yeah, you're welcome. It's been really fun. I think we're definitely gonna do this again. I think next time I'm gonna prepare like a few topics that I want to talk about. Maybe the like baby ideas that I have that like I haven't fleshed out well enough to do a video on yet, or haven't had the time to do a video on yet. I think I'm just going to prepare those ahead of time, so like that supplements the questions everybody has. So then it's like, with the content I have prepared, with the questions that people have, there will be a lot less dead time. There was a lot of dead time this time around. But I really do think like the past hour and a half's been like kick ass. So thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for letting me crash your party.
I'm glad you came.
All right, later, gators.
See you guys.